The MeanGene Show on iHeartRadio. You can also listen on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. The MeanGene Show airs weekly on iHeartRadio with guest professional athletes, national sports writers, and much more. We discuss the latest in the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and more. Here's your host, Mean Gene.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mean Gene Show here on iHeartRadio. Getting ready for a Thursday night of big-time NFL news. And joining me, as always, here on the Mean Gene Show. Well, you know what? If he's not on this show, he's on the Sports Kings. Either way, you're going to see his face and hear his voice, okay? And I'm talking about the great one, the Rude Dog himself, Rudy Reyes. What's up, Rudy?
What's going on, Gene? How are you?
Hey, man, just as our friend Jermichael Finley said, living the dream. You remember that?
That's it. Everybody's living the dream right about now, especially now that training camps are in full swing, with training camps being filled with their ever-loving fans coming out to see him perform and play and meet and greet. And you know how that goes, especially in Steeler Nation down in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. You know, there's a lot of stuff to be had. A lot of breaking news as well.
Absolutely.
I want to kind of jump into this because when you look at these, you know, the new components to these teams, there's a lot of injuries and some passing as well. We're going to talk about that. Maybe touch on some Hall of Fame entries as well here in 2022. And you know, something new that just came across as a designation that was removed from Kyler Murray's contract. And it's kind of interesting because everybody, you know, had envisioned him laying on the couch, eating some chips, pretending to watch film, but instead he's dozing off sleeping. You know, there's a pure enigma surrounding Kyler Murray and the offseason turmoil that he's faced, and along with criticism as well. But they removed the independent study clause from his contract because clearly, I believe it was unnecessary. I believe he thought it was completely unnecessary, uncalled for. So they removed that designation. Do you think that was more about the Cardinals saying, you know what, he's going to be fine, we're good as an organization with Kyler Murray under center? Or is this about him pitching a fit and saying, you know what, I'm done. This is not what I want to do. This is not who I want to be.
I tell you what, he wasn't the only one pitching a fit. I think the media may have helped or hurt his cause on that. But to be honest with you, Rudy, I think that the owner, Mr. Bidwell, did have concerns, okay? And I think, you know, maybe there was no malice intent that when they put that in there, it was just, hey, you know, an awakening to say, hey, look here, we're going to give you this money, but we also want you to be committed. And not that he showed anything to where he wasn't committed. I mean, look where he led the Cardinals to just, you know, a year ago, and look where he's probably going to lead them to here in the future. But I think the media, I think the uproar, I even posted something on social media today about it. And then I'm glad, and then he had to come out and an unscheduled press conference to address it, although he didn't say he was upset about the addendum in the contract. But I think his anger or his, you know, response was more towards the media itself. But the fact that the Cardinals have listened, the Cardinals don't want this to be a distraction because it is. It's not the way to start your 2022 campaign with something like that. But I think the owner, you know, he did have concerns. They shouldn't have put it in there. It was unprecedented. No one has ever had anything like that in their contract. And it was quite embarrassing for a professional who player, and you don't get to be that two-sport player and drafted like he was if you wasn't committed to the game.
Well, being committed to the game means that you carry into the off season knowing that you're going to come back to the franchise. You're going to be that guy, you know, starting for a team that's still trying to find its identity. They added some pieces. They lost some pieces, just like every NFL team did in the offseason through free agency. And one thing that I believe really set the wheel moving forward is the fact alone that he himself scrub anything related to the Arizona Cardinals off his social media. Now,
I
we
know.
can look at that in two ways. We can say, you know what, maybe he didn't want to be part of the organization. Maybe he was looking for a way out. And then,
Right.
or more importantly, it was about him getting a new contract. Now, I think it's more about the contractual component more than probably anything else. Now,
Hmm.
to his credit, you're right, Gene. He did a lot of great things for the franchise, but then he dropped off along the way. And when that happens, your mindset is I'm just going to mail it in and call it a day, and I'm done. Because they were 6-0. Okay, they were
Yeah.
six
Yeah,
and
they
12,
were.
and then all of a sudden to find themselves curtailing down 6-1, 6-2, six and
Hmm.
three, winning
Hmm.
here, winning there. Nothing consistent as it was in the first half of the season. So I look at this being, and you mentioned being a distraction. I don't think it should be a distraction. I think this is a much ado about nothing burger anymore, with some extra cheese associated with it. Of course, I
Hmm.
love cheese, and obviously, Kyler Murray was able to get a lot of cheddar in the offseason with a $230.5 million extension. So he's eating a lot of cheddar, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't, not want to like his bank account right about now myself.
Yeah, I agree. And, I tell you what, man, I like the fact that the Cardinals stepped up and squashed it. So because believe me, I have watched 48 hours of nothing but, talk about this. And I think it's just completely unnecessary. And I think if they want their franchise quarterback to come in calm and collective, granted, I know what he did last year. He's gonna have to step it up, even if that addendum wasn't in there. The fact that, just like you said, you started 6-0 last year, and then, it just looked like he gave up. And some of those comments, and let's think too about what part he played into getting that addendum, was some of his own players. This guy is just not committed. And the last thing you want is for your teammates to see that you're not a leader. Now, and nothing about the guy's size. I think everyone jokes about that. We know this guy's a professional, but you have to, you still have to be the part. You the face of the franchise, highest paid player ever in the history of the franchise. And I think the owner, I don't think he had any ill will about that. I think he really wanted to say, hey, guy, I'm gonna give you this, but let's not forget that your teammates said that they didn't see the leadership in you that we want to see, and that's scary standpoint. And I think certainly Mr. Beardwell, they said they loved this guy. They knew he was going to be the guy. But you still have to drive him and motivate him and send a warning shot, which they did, which, it was brutal. They paid for it in the public, relations department or in the department. But I think they're going to be okay. It's water under the bridge now, and now they can move on with their training camp and get ready for the season.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. I think general manager Eric DaCosta did what he needed to do, and that was to, prevent this from spiraling out of control. In other news, Packers wide receiver Christian Watson started OTAs, something he didn't really feel on the field, which was basically hurting when he turns, and that's never a good sign. It has to do with his knee, and then maybe his knee. Perhaps, at least we're going to find out what an MRI
Okay.
discovers. But right now, he's going to hate missing camp. And I quote, getting better every day, but I hate missing camp. But of course, everybody does. And I wish him the absolute best and maybe recover for whatever is ailing him right now. Original Raider, five-time AFL All-Star
Hmm.
Wayne Hawkins dies at the age of 84 today. Raider Nation is very sad about that. And that was basically new. That's hot off the press. He was a original member of the 1960 Raiders team and a five-time AFL champion. The team announced he played in 136 games at
Oh,
guard
wow.
for the Silver and Black. He led them to helped lead them to an AFL championship game in '67 over the Green Bay Packers. So he will certainly be missed. And then, of course, more news. We're looking at $1 million extension. Speaking of an
Hmm.
extension, DK Metcalf signed a 3-year, $72 million extension with the Seattle
Yeah.
Seahawks. And he stated earlier he wasn't going to play until they were able to hammer that out. And when I look at this situation, he gets most of that up front and almost
Yeah.
$60 million in guaranteed monies. But more importantly, $30 million in a signing bonus. This is no small chump change for a
Hmm.
guy who battled absolutely every one and everything on every given down he played for the Seahawks on. And now they have their man, at least from that position. I can't say so much for the quarterback position, which they did nothing in the 2022
You're right
NFL
about
draft,
that.
but putting some band-aids here and there to kind of hold them over until the 2023 NFL draft, which they assuredly should draft a quarterback. What are your thoughts about this Metcalf move, and was it the right move not only for him but for the team moving forward, despite not having a quarterback?
If you ask me if it was the right move for him, I would say yes. Because look here, he gets to sign another free agent contract when he's 27. And that's kind of what you want. You even see that in the NBA. These guys get these contracts, and you come in with the rookie, and then you play well like he did, and then next thing you know, 20, you come in what 20 and 23, you up for that contract, and now he's up for another one at 27. If he continues to play well, then man, he could max that out completely. But you brought up a good point too, Rudy. Now, will he be able to meet those numbers? Because he did that with a Russell Wilson. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that with a Geno Smith and a what's his name,
Drew Lock.
the Drew Lock. Yeah, I don't know, and not taking anything away from those guys. He's got a tall order to fill because they still got Lockett on that team as well. So I don't know, man. And this is one of those cases where if he underachieves, then the media is going to light him up. Man, you just got this contract and you're not playing. And in his defense, he could always say, I don't even have the same quarterback that I had last year.
Yeah, well, not only that, but you need another guy to make up a guy in the name of Russell Wilson, who's now playing in the AFC West, which is not obviously easily done. He'll get the protection he needs, unlike what he did
Hmm.
not get in Seattle. So when you're
Hmm.
not able to protect your quarterback, now you find yourself without a starting quarterback. And of course, this is QB by
Hmm.
committee team. They're going to be all behind whatever guy, whatever hoopla or media spin anybody wants to put on that. Neither one of these
Hmm.
guys are even remotely close to a guy named
Hmm.
Russell Wilson. But
Absolutely.
on the opposite end of that spectrum, when you look at the 49ers, they have their guy in Trey Lance, who now finds himself in a situation where he has been named for all intents and purposes, the actual starter for this 49ers team. Why? Because Jimmy Garoppolo is on the trading block. There's no doubt about it. No one can really question that. But what the 49ers don't want to do is send him packing to another NFC West team who
Contender.
is in
Yeah.
dire need of a quarterback. But at the same token, what do you do if you're Seattle? Do you give up a 2023, in two picks in the first round, second round, third round? I don't think Jimmy G is worth anything less or more than maybe a fourth or fifth round pick at best. Why? Because you question his inability to execute, get the ball down the field, handles checkdowns without throwing miscued and mistimed balls. Um, what are your thoughts about Trey Lance, now the heir apparent starter under center for the 49ers? And do you believe that he's going to be able to right the ship and get this 49ers team not only to the playoffs as they've done the last few years and maybe into a Super Bowl conversation?
I tell you what, Rudy, I gotta say, I hope that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan know what they're doing because this is very risky. And I know they drafted Trey Lance. They wanted him. They got him, very high. But at the same time, you have to look at the Jimmy Garoppolo contract. This guy got a big contract. This organization gave him that contract. So I have to kind of know, like, well, what are you doing here? I mean, have you really just given up on him? This guy got you to a Super Bowl, and although he didn't win, just what, a couple of, plays away from winning that Super Bowl, and then he gets you to the playoffs. And I know, Debo Samuel was the big guy, there, and they got some good running backs, and they got, Kittle. They got a good team. So this is really going to be like what we call rolling the dice here. because you got a quarterback now. If you just want to say, hey, he's getting paid too much, well, talk the guy into taking a cut or something. But I honestly think with Trey Lance coming in, and we're talking about a guy who isn't tested. Team is not like, you're not like the Jacksonville Jaguars or some of those other teams that don't have nothing to lose. I mean, you are a playoff team. You were just removed from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago with that quarterback that you have right now. And I don't know. I would keep Jimmy Garoppolo, have Trey Lance kind of learn from him, because they're going to come after this guy. They're going to, defenses, Trey Lance is going to have success maybe in the first 5 or 6 games. But once these defenses start to study him and they know we see it all the time, Rudy. You can fool them once, but you can't fool them twice. I figure this guy out before, the second half of the season. And who's gonna be your backup? You really got to think about the future here. What if this kid gets hurt, just like we saw it with the Bears quarterback? That when he got hurt, you still had to put a veteran in there. You got to damn sure you know what you're doing here. And now if I'm the Seahawks, I'll take him because they, put him in your division. He knows the division, and it'd be a win for the Seahawks if they could get him. But, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't either. You need depth at the quarterback position regardless. And, of course, when we look at the Seahawks, they don't really have any depth. There is no depth there, and Geno Smith is not their depth guy. But in all fairness to Drew Lock, he looked like he was on to something in last year with the Broncos. I'm not saying he's the answer, but I'm just saying that he is a game manager, just like Jimmy Garoppolo is a game manager. Drew Lock is starting to find his rhythm. It could be a great place for both him and Geno Smith to trade off snaps, whereas now you have Jimmy Garoppolo, who has Super Bowl rings. He does have Super Bowl experience that you can learn from if you're Trey Lance. How willing Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be in order to make that a reality and help Trey Lance develop into the quarterback for the 49ers remains to be seen. But I'm with you. Keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Keep him as your veteran's backup guy. Keep him as someone that Trey Lance can learn from, evolve with. And essentially, once that happens, then you release Jimmy G next year, not this year. Speaking of guys that you don't want to cut, Michael Gallup has an ACL tear. Of course, that happened during last year, the latter part of last year, and is unsure about week 1 for the Dallas Cowboys. He was absolutely fantastic, to be quite honest with you. But right now, he stated there's not even a reasonable possibility that he's going to be seen in week 1. Maybe not even in week 2. This Cowboys team just lost Amari Cooper. He's playing for the Cleveland Browns now, who also has quarterback problems. But more importantly, this doesn't look good for him. Doesn't look good for a wide receiving core for the Cowboys. Yeah. And to be quite honest with you, this looks like a step down. They did acquire a guy from the AFL who was the MVP of the AFL, not the AFL, excuse me, the USFL.
Yeah.
How many FLs?
Yeah.
It's called for long. And so
exactly.
His longevity at the level. And congratulations to him, by the way, for being able to even get to that point where he gets looked at by an NFL team, much less the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, one of the most, storied franchises.
I thought you was going to say overrated. Okay, but you said story. Okay.
Depends on who you're asking. But this is bad for the Cowboys. And bad for Dak Prescott, who no longer has Amari Cooper to throw to. Does this USFL wide receiver have a chance, an opportunity? Do you see him maybe starting on day 1? And does this wide receiving core going to kind of gel and be those guys that take the Cowboys and Dak Prescott over the hump?
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't watch a lot of USFL, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't any good talent. And it could be something that work out in the Cowboys' favor. You have an noticed player that's going to step in and could be the hero. You still got CeeDee Lamb and I know they got some other wideouts on that team, and I'll be looking at them in the preseason to see what their depth look like. And I know this kid is part of that depth chart now. But at the same time, man, this could be, we see it in all sports. You get called up from the minors, get called up from the G League and the NBA, and here's this kid getting called up from the USFL. Could be the story of the year for the Cowboys. It could work out in their favor. We'll see. I think he has a good chance. I mean, until Gallup, who said he couldn't, he's not going to be ready, but that doesn't mean he's not going to come back. They could find themselves. Rudy. Hey, Rudy. You know, I want to. This time last year, I was getting ready for the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame. One reason why the Hall of Fame and the NFL preseason they go hand in hand because if people don't know by now, the Hall of Fame is the kickoff to the preseason, basically.
Yeah.
So granted, and that's why the Raiders and the Jacksonville Jaguars started camp before anybody. But I do want to let everyone know that, and we're going to get into the Hall of Famers here pretty soon. But the 22 Yes. But anyway, the Las Vegas Raiders will take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 2022 Hall of Fame game. This is 8 p.m. Eastern Time I guess it would be next Thursday, August 4th, during the Enshrinement Week. And I think I just disappeared, right? Is playing tricks on me. I think people heard me talking, but they didn't see my face. But anyway, I'm going to have to hold this camera, Rudy. But anyway, so that kicks off the start of the preseason. But I do want to say, as far as if you've never been to Canton, Ohio, it's a place that you should go because it had every memory that you have of the NFL and big games, record breaking things, all of that stuff is right there in Canton. And the bus, that people always talk about this, that, and the other. And do they talk to each other at night? I think that was John Madden that said that. But anyway,
And
it's
they do.
yeah, I think they do. But it's all there, folks. So you really have to go. But next Thursday, believe it or not, we will have some football now. It might be meaningless. And will we see Derek Carr out there or will we see Trevor Lawrence? Probably, but you never know. Maybe Trevor Lawrence you might see, but anyway, you might see a play or two from everyone's waiting to see Derek Carr to Devontae Adams. I know that's coming up. What are your thoughts on that?
I look at the offseason transition between both of these teams, and they're relatively similar because
Mm-hmm.
when you look at what happened last year, John Gruden, decided to X himself out of being with the Raiders for
Oh my
a
goodness.
variety of reasons, the head coach, no less. And then you have Urban Meyer on the other end of the spectrum with Jacksonville Jaguars, who also X himself out of being with the Jacksonville Jaguar organization.
Mm-hmm.
And it's these, I don't know, I think it was like destiny to put these teams together because now you have, you've now protected more of Trevor Lawrence, your starting guy
Mm-hmm.
under center. And then you give Derek Carr more weapons in the wide receiving corps for the Las Vegas Raiders, who comes over from the Green Bay Packers in Devontae Adams. These
Mm-hmm.
guys hooked up in college. They're very familiar with one another. The chemistry could very well be there. That's going to be a real-time conversation. It's not made for any unnecessary spin-offs or spins or whatever you want to call it. This is really about these guys connecting, getting back to their method of football, what they were able to do in college, and see if they could put that on the field during the regular season and throughout. Um, this is going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a very vanilla game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a fan of vanilla. I'm kind of a strawberry guy myself, but
I hear
when you
you.
look at the offenses, yeah, talking about all about the
Oh yeah.
strawberry stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But these teams are going to be it's a collision course between two teams that are now trying to find identities in different ways
Mm-hmm.
through situational football,
Mm-hmm.
through fluidity, chemistry. What does that look like from head coach to quarterback? What that looks like. The Las Vegas Raiders hired a female president in the offseason, which is
Yeah.
unprecedented in the
Oh yeah.
NFL. They decided to set the standard there for a lot of great reasons, and I'm glad they did. from an equality standpoint,
Yeah.
from a perspective position that she's now in, a very high energy position that requires somebody who has the skill set and the capabilities of running uh, this Las Vegas
A
Raiders
big
franchise.
time organization.
Yeah, to really get
Yeah.
to the next part of their evolutionary process. Will they make Al Davis smile, who's smiling down on them? Well, we don't know. But I do know that when you look at these two teams, a lot of it's going to be a very good game. But again, because it's vanilla and there's not a
Yeah.
lot of great coverages, and you know, defenses may not be coming after quarterbacks in a high speed capacity that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we've seen, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a Hall of Fame game. I mean, after guys like Tony Boselli, who's not
Mm-hmm.
even 2 hours away, born from here in
Mm-hmm.
Modesto, California,
Mm-hmm.
Cliff Branch, an Oakland
Mm-hmm.
Raider,
Mm-hmm.
Leroy Butler, Art
Mm-hmm.
McNally, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, my gosh, Brian Young, Dick
Yeah.
Vermeil, who's from
Yeah.
Calistoga, California. Of course, everybody remembers the Greatest Show on Turf, and he's going to
Yeah.
be involved in that. Bryant Young. I mean, there's so much talent
Mm-hmm.
that has been, I think, to be honest with you, overseen and overlooked. But they're finally getting their nod.
Yeah.
No Steelers this year
No. No.
get in the Hall of Fame, but that's okay since they own about 3/4 of the West Wing anyway. But still,
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a great induction. And just a side note, I had asked Amy Trask, former general manager for the Las Vegas Raiders, then the Oakland
Uh-huh.
Raiders. This is years
Uh-huh.
ago. I said,
Uh-huh.
if you ever get into the Hall of Fame, I want to present you. So
Oh
maybe she'll allow
wow.
for me to do that. I don't
Hey.
know,
Hey, Rudy.
but
You know
she
that
belongs
would
in there
be
too.
huge. That would be huge. And yeah,
Yeah,
that because she would be the first female, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and
first
believe
inducted
me,
to the
oh,
Football Hall of Fame.
it's just right down the road, and I'm glad you brought that up because she would be the first one, and she deserves to be in there. So who knows? I know it's a tough task picking these guys, but you named off some good ones. I'm trying to
Yeah,
see. Someone's got to do it. Sam Mills, I remember that guy, man. What the linebacker. For you guys out there who don't know Sam Mills, you're gonna hear a lot about him in the next week when especially next the week after that game is played when they give the speeches and everything. But I'm trying to look back. Dick Vermeil, I was at that game when they won the Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans. Now you might say, okay, it was I was late getting to the Super Bowl because the weather was bad in Atlanta, but I got there. Now no one plans to be late for a Super Bowl, Rudy, but I got in there.
yeah,
I
darn
did
right you
get
did.
there. Oh, I was late. I probably got in there like close to halftime, but I got in that Super Bowl and I watched the greatest show on turf, and I did not sit down at all. I couldn't even tell you where my seats were because it didn't matter. I was all just chasing the whole game around and calling everybody on my cell phone and letting them know I'm here. So I never forget that. But Dick Vermeil, what a great guy, man, who had coached, previously with the Philadelphia Eagles and made it to the Super Bowl, didn't win it, but then come back years later and get it done with the underdog. How about that? As quarterback, and he gets it done. So great stuff, Rudy.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember so many times, and I kept hearing the name. Tony Boselli needs to get in the Hall of Fame. Needs to get in the
Hmm.
Hall of Fame. He hasn't been in it for about 16 years, so his eligibility was running out. Was running really low,
Hmm.
and one of the best tackles. Played with the Jaguars from '05 to '01.
Oh yeah,
He had 7 seasons, 91 games. The guy was probably one of the best tackles in professional sports, and that's why he's going to be
absolutely.
in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, I did meet Jimmy Smith when I was in Vegas
Okay,
for the NFL draft, and he happened
okay.
to walk by me, and I said, "Jimmy," he says, "Rudy," I said, "Yeah." Well, I didn't. You didn't look like you were any taller. You look like you were really short. I said, "No, I'm 6'1", but Jimmy should be in the Hall of Fame, I believe."
Yeah, yeah.
He held tons of Jaguars records,
He did. He
yards
really
after
did.
catch. So hopefully he'll get in the Hall of Fame next year. His time for eligibility is also running out. He should have went in with Tony Baselli. How great would that have been to get both of those guys in? But I mean, just a laundry list of talent. Wonderful guys, wonderful people. Sam Mills is going to be inducted posthumously. He played from '86 to '94 with the Saints, as you know.
Yeah.
That's where I know him from. That's where I
Yeah.
remember watching
Yeah.
him play.
Yeah.
What an extremely powerful guy he was on the inside, breaking up runs, closing gaps, sure rapid, wraparound tackles. Then he played with Carolina Panthers from '95 to '97. Played 181 games and 12 seasons. I mean, just a load of talent. Of course, you can't forget Richard Seymour.
Oh, heck no.
From '01 to '08. Then Oakland from '09 to 2012.
A
He was
beast.
playing 12 seasons. Yeah, he's an absolute nightmare. Absolute
Yeah.
nightmare. And
6'6", 317 pounds, huh?
He's a big dude, 116th overall in round one. So
Yeah.
as you can see, this guy is no joke. Originally, retired once he ended up playing for the last year in 2012 with the Oak Raiders, decided to go back to Carolina. Of course, everybody knows Kim from his New England Patriot days. Of course, I remember him very well because he's the AFC, and of course, Steelers faced them quite a bit and lost to them quite a bit as well. But needless to say, he was selected All-Pro 3 times. Just so much great talent. I can't even begin to wonder what it would be like to not only get inducted, which will never happen, but to just be there and to feel the ambiance and just the crowd noise and everything. Just fantastic.
You got to go. Last year, we went. The MeanGene Show had a chance to go because they actually put over 20-something guys in the Hall of Fame because we had the pandemic year 20, so they held them off, and they did 2021 and 2020 and 2021 all together is what they did. But it was great. We had a chance to talk with the great Tom Flores. How about Troy Polamalu, Jimmy Johnson, Charles Woodson? Man, we had a ball. Peyton Manning. It was. This. Hey, I'm not trying to say that this class is not good. All of these guys are so deserving. But last year was if you had a chance to be there last year, it was a hell of an experience. And then to be able to you got to get, man. KDWN there in Las Vegas, got us there, and we were very grateful, especially with Woodson and Mr. Flores. Man, everyone in Las Vegas was happy. With Rudy, I know. Yeah, I know. We're gonna get you to the Hall of Fame because you got. We got. Trust me. We covered some drafts. You've done the Super Bowls, but I actually, believe it or not, man, found the Hall of Fame to be, in a sense, just more exciting to me than the Super Bowl because it's just all of the memories of football just comes back there, man, and it's a great thing. But hey, we tonight, folks. Don't forget, Dustin Pfeiffer and Rudy and myself. We are the Sports Kings. We'll come back next week because we promised you the NFC South, and I know Dustin, and that's why he's not here with us tonight because it's the MeanGene Show. Dustin's studying Rudy. He's in his data because he's there looking at Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, trying to figure out what those Panthers are going to do. But we're yeah, I know we're a couple of weeks away from our biggest endeavor ever, and you know what? I guess you can say we have a residency in Las Vegas because we really do. 6 days out of the month, we're performing at the Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. And you're going to get 3 for the price of 1. I guess you can say you're going to get the gambling show. The picks are in with Mr. Picks. You're going to get the Sports Kings. And you're going to get the MeanGene Show. And you also, believe it or not, and we're going to tease the people, Rudy, they're going to get the Rude Dog Show. We just won't tell them when. But so Rudy's going to be on the bright lights in Las Vegas. But Rudy, are you excited, man? Because we're just about 2 weeks.
I am almost packed and ready to go. You're lucky I'm not sleeping on my suitcase.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, and make sure you check out the social media on Facebook. We have a Sports Kings page. It's the Sports Kings Podcast. Even on Instagram, you want to Kings Podcast. Try to keep it simple for everybody. And then, Rudy, where can they find you at on the Rude Dog Show?
Oh, man, you can find me anywhere. Go to rudedogshow.com. You can find me, everywhere. LinkedIn, Twitter, at Rude Dog Reyes. Throw me a follow everywhere. I love talking sports, no matter what it is. It could be golf and the live situation and, Bubba Watson moving on over to that.
Watch what you say here, because we might be having some rock bands on the Sports Kings Show. Those bands that'll be performing at the theater at Virgin Hotels. They know a little something about sports. If not, we're going to have to get it out of them.
We'll figure it out one way or another.
We'll figure out a way.
If they come in and they have a mullet, I'm going to have to go get a wig.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Me and you both, right? So, hey, I'll tell you what, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We did the video and the audio tonight. So, as you can see, just totally disappeared on me. Rudy is the one that's got this video stuff down, folks. I guarantee you. Hey, we're in the preseason just like everybody else, okay? Doggone it. We're going to work out our kinks and get you ready for the 2022 NFL season. So, Rudy, thanks for coming on tonight. And I know there's a button that I'm supposed to hit. Plays music for us to get out of here. So, I'm going to do that. See you, buddy.